Phoenix Suns fans have put multiple players in the hot seat due to recent performances throughout the year, and Jusuf Nurkic is one of those guys who has been in that hot seat. And he has recently spoken out about multiple things that have gone wrong with his tenure in the Suns this year. We're going to break down and dive into all of this and how it has affected this Suns squad as a whole, and ultimately what Jusuf Nurkic has to say and speak out about. We'll be diving into all of this and more on this episode of Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Velez. And like I said, you guys have been absolutely fantastic, showing your love and support for the channel over the last couple of weeks, which has been absolutely supportive. We do ask, like I mentioned, if you are a part of the 82% of the people who are not subscribed to the channel, to make sure to hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, though, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we're going to dive into the video at hand. Make sure to grab that snack and get ready for some good old Suns news. As like I said in the introduction, Jusuf Nurkic speaks out on some recent news about this Suns team, and it has a lot of implications for this squad. As we hear him speak out, not only about his benching, not only about the trade rumors, but also speak out about his suspension as well, which I think are three key things to really evaluate Jusuf Nurkic's tenure with the Suns this season. We've obviously seen Jusuf Nurkic deal with some injuries as well, but he did not really touch upon that in this article. But we're going to dive in and look at this article courtesy of Dwayne Rankin, where he just says, obviously is the title, I don't have any regret. You Suns, Jusuf Nurkic on suspension, benching, and trade talks. And this is courtesy of the Arizona Republic as well. Really, really solid job from Dwayne, always covering this Suns team. I love diving into these articles. So let's get into this one here as Nurkic starts talking about the Suns in trade rumors, where he says, we're not kids. His sources obviously have informed the Republic, and we've broken down on this channel before, that over the last month, the Suns were looking to move Jusuf Nurkic, and right now, they're seeking a third team to deal in a Bradley Beal trade to obviously acquire Jimmy Butler. But the Suns also removed Beal from their starting lineup alongside Jusuf Nurkic. And a season later, this might be the end for Jusuf Nurkic in Phoenix. We're going to dive in and look at what he had to say. He said, we've talked as far as communication between the team owner, Matt Ishbia, general manager James Jones, and CEO Josh Barlestein, Nurkic said. They were completely transparent. They were not looking to shop us or whatever, but also, we're not kids. We understand that this is part of the job, and there's nothing you can do, at least in my situation. I do not control these things, but understand these things happen almost every day and every year, especially this time of season with these trade rumors, Nurkic said. You can search, you can see any name, not just myself, which might not necessarily be a bad thing or a good thing. I believe they will handle it properly and be honest about it. But even if it happens the way we want it to happen, that the way we don't want it to happen, that's fine. It's business, no hard feelings. So Nurkic obviously speaking up about these recent trade rumors, as we've seen reported from the Arizona Republic. We broke this down from Dwayne that Jusuf Nurkic was involved in these trade talks. Then we saw a report from Gerald Bourguet, courtesy of PHNX Sports, which said that they weren't shopping Jusuf Nurkic, and that obviously was kind of counterintuitive to understand that the Suns were trying to shop Nurkic, were unable to find a deal for him, so now they're saying that they're not shopping him. But obviously Nurkic has said that they haven't really reached out to him, talked to him, done anything really experimental about that as much, but they also have kind of gone over, and Nurkic says it's not really a big deal. He understands that his fit with this team isn't working. He understands by getting moved to the bench, obviously by making $18 million, that this direction of the team isn't working with him, and that a change is going to necessarily be needed. Even if it's him off the roster, him getting benched, something is going to happen, and Nurkic is aware of this. And I'm glad that he is kind of taking it with that solid approach of, we're not kids, it's kind of business. He understands this in the NBA, which is solid to see. He also spoke up about his benching. As we recently saw, like we mentioned a little bit earlier, Jusuf Nurkic was benched alongside players like Bradley Beal, and he said this: no one cares. Mike Budenholzer decided to replace Beal and Nurkic in the starting lineup with rookies Ryan Dunn and veteran big Mason Plumlee for a team that had lost 4 in a row and is far removed from its 8-1 start this season. And Nurkic said, I don't really have the same feelings or whatsoever when referring to being benched compared to his previous years. He's obviously a bench previously in the past with the Denver Nuggets when he was replaced by Nikola Jokic, and he says he's way more mature than he was back then, and he's played with some great superstars in Portland and Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. They obviously taught him a lot from being humble in these situations. Everything else is not in my control. And Nurkic obviously has been expressive of that, which I think is solid to see as well. Him taking this very professionally after we've seen him, have a little bit of an outburst, I would say, at the start of the season when he was saying, Phoenix Suns fans that are true Suns fans know what I bring to this team and yada yada yada. I don't know what that was, but I'm liking the accountability held from Nurkic here because he's realizing that this is not working and that the Suns fans are disappointed. And then I think the main part about this that is really key is Nurkic spoke out about his suspension. As we all know, Nurkic got in that fight with Najee Marshall the other week versus the Dallas Mavericks and suffered a 3-game suspension. And he had to say that he'd probably do it again. That's absolutely hilarious. But he said, lastly, that with the fight, the ejection, the suspension, saying he has no regrets on it and he'd probably do it again if he had to. He says, I don't regret it. Money comes and money goes. You've got to defend what you believe and understand it. It's always some people like that. He was celebrating like he did something like Mike Tyson. Shit, that's hilarious. I love that. And he also furthered this up with letting us know, obviously, that on the implications of well on how this kind of went down, saying it just happened randomly. The way I was being escorted to our locker room, it's kind of messed up because we've got to walk by the visiting locker room, and he was coming from the other side. We kind of met in the hallway outside of the locker room. Certain things were said that didn't make no sense, but it was not something like he tried to come after me, and that was referring to obviously Najee Marshall talking to Jusuf Nurkic at the end of the suspension, in which he got an extra game comparative to Nurkic. Nurkic also went on to some more details as well in this article, courtesy of Dwayne Rankin, which I did not have enough space to get the clips from, but he also did talk about how Ryan Dunn grabbing him and kind of saving him from that fight definitely helped him out because Nurkic would have gotten a little bit more aggressive in that fight. And he also talked about PJ Washington getting involved, saying there was no need for PJ to get involved as he was not part of the discussion at all, which I also think is true. Like I said, with Jusuf Nurkic here, with the Suns, it just hasn't ultimately worked. He's making $18 million this season, $19 million next season, and he just hasn't really fit in with this team since he arrived here in Phoenix. The Suns were looking for a center replacement for DeAndre and thought they struck gold with Jusuf Nurkic being a, you know, relatively in his career, solid premier center. Not one of those top tier ones, but not one of those bottom tier ones as well. A guy could hold his own, play alongside superstars, and that's what the Suns thought they were getting when they went and did this deal for DeAndre Ayton. And unfortunately, that's not what they got. They got a player who was a weak interior on the defense, wasn't a perfect fit, has dealt with some injuries, hasn't been able to keep control of his temper, and has unfortunately had gotten benched in this situation. And now the Suns are a little bit in a pickle, like I mentioned. They have Bradley Beal coming off the bench. They have Jusuf Nurkic coming off the bench. Two guys that they actively do not realistically want on this roster, would like to kind of move off of. But the problems are that they make a lot of money, and no other teams necessarily really want these contracts or the value of these players because they have multiple years on their contracts. It's not like they're 1-year deals, which gives a lot of limitations for the Suns. So we'll have to wait and see what they ultimately do. But I wanted to break this down and kind of get this news to you guys, just kind of get your thoughts, your opinions on all of this. Like I said, I have been critiquing Jusuf Nurkic since the offseason. If you've been following the Suns channel, you've been knowing that I've been saying the Suns should trade him. The Suns should get in some sort of move. I haven't been believing in this type of system with Nurkic as that center, but I honestly do feel for him in these quotes here. He did represent some great things, saying that obviously he's taking this as a grown man. He's going to take this professionally. He recognizes it's a business, and he's been moved from multiple teams. He is an NBA veteran, so I understand that, and I respect that from him. And I honestly do wish the best for Jusuf Nurkic in his career once he has moved off this Phoenix Suns team, and hoping that he can either revitalize that as a backup center in the NBA or be able to be a starting center somewhere else. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, where your guys' ultimate thoughts are on Jusuf Nurkic speaking all out about this, as it was some wild news that we broke down for the Phoenix Suns this afternoon. Like I said, Bradley Beal, Jimmy Butler trade saga has been going on as well, and when more details come up about that, we'll have more news to come out, and we're having our first weekly live stream tomorrow. I do want to let you guys know at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. We will be live here on YouTube, breaking down the Suns, looking over their last week, looking at their future week, and going over everything. You got any questions, want to talk about anything Phoenix Suns, make sure to come join the live stream, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and go Phoenix Suns. Peace out, everyone.